Have you ever had one of those days where nothing seems to go right and you just want to scream? Let's talk about it. I think we've all had those days where we wake up on the wrong side of the bed and the day just seems to be against us right from the get-go. And then the further we get into the day, it just gets worse. We get frustrated and we get angry. And I think it's at those times we really need to be careful, because we can say things, snap at somebody that we don't mean to, and it's going to affect their day, it's going to hurt their feelings, and it could damage your relationship. In my last video, I talked about the lady at the UPS store and just the genuine kindness between two strangers and how it did make a difference in each of our days. And that reminded me of another little story that my grandfather had shared in one of his books. It was actually the same book, and it was the next chapter right after the story from the last video. And it talked about just this, how he used to deal with crippling depression, how he would be so short-tempered, and how a lot of times he would take it out on things, animals, even other people that he regretted later on in his years. But he wrote that as a lesson, mostly for us grandkids, that we shouldn't let those times in our life affect us the way that it affected him. So I'd like to share that story with you now. We can't help others without helping ourselves. Through my adolescent and young manhood years, I had periods of deep depression. The blues, people used to call such spells. Mine came about once a month and lasted 3 or 4 days. They might come as a result of a cutting remark someone had made behind my back, or to me in person, or they might come because of a disappointment in my plans. Sometimes they just came for no reason I could think of. Normally, I was a happy youth. We lived on a farm where I was aware and awake to life and the beauty that surrounded me. The scene changed almost daily for me. Returning springs were my special seasons, with fruit trees blooming, the droning bees gathering nectar from the blossoms, and the bird songs as they happily raised their young. I learned to know all our native birds by sight and song. I could name all of our native forest trees and wildflowers. When I was in my usual happy mood, I doubt that anyone enjoyed the beauty of God's world more than I did. But when those dark moods came, nothing around me seemed worth noticing. I wasn't quarrelsome, but I angered easily at these times. I didn't hate others, only myself. Now when I read that the suicide rate is higher among adolescents than any other age group, my thoughts turn to that period of my life. I must have been in my late 20s when, one morning, after a siege of depression had me in its grip for a day or two, we had hustled through the morning chores on the farm to get started hauling in the hay I had raked the previous afternoon. The weather had been unsettled. Farmers get jittery at the threat of rain when they have hay ready to be hauled in. Then, when I went to hitch the tractor to the hay wagon, I discovered the tractor had a broken hitch. There was no way I could fix it. I had to take it to the blacksmith shop 4 miles from our home. My spirits sank lower, and my temper went higher as I drove along the narrow road in our farm truck. Then, when I rounded a bend, a car with a flat tire had the road blocked. My first impulse was to rant and rave at the driver, a gentle, soft-spoken, past-middle-aged man who was a stranger to me. He told me he couldn't get his jack under his car. Thoughts of the hay that might spoil, thoughts of a possible delay at the blacksmith shop, and the fact that I could go no further unless I helped the man get his car out of the road all went through my mind. I didn't speak, for there was nothing I could say that would change the situation. Besides, the man had talked so kindly to me. I got out my truck jack and soon had the car raised and the flat tire off. Then I found that his spare tire was flat also. There was nothing for me to do but take the tire off the rim and patch the tube, use my hand pump to inflate the tire and put it on the wheel. By the time I had his car ready to go, I had a good sweat worked up, and my temper had cooled down. The stranger's thanks and gratefulness and kind parting words seemed to melt away my depression, and I was soon back on the farm hauling hay. We didn't get any rain that day, and got the field of hay safely in the barn. That was more than 40 years ago, and I was taught a valuable lesson that morning, that doing a kindness for another brings happiness to ourselves. No, it didn't cure my spells of depression like magic, but it taught me that nothing makes us forget our troubles like helping those get rid of theirs. I found that any time such sieges tried to take possession of me, I could think of someone I could do a kind deed for, like visiting a shut-in or a sick friend or neighbor, answering a long-neglected letter to a friend or relative. Yes, even taking busy time to mend a broken toy for a child. In short, I learned that I couldn't help another without helping myself. I've always been one that would go out of my way to help people. I always found that helping people not only was kind, but it also helped me. It gave me happiness to do that for somebody else, a stranger, a friend, a family member. I was always available and willing to lend a helping hand, regardless of what it was. I gave them happiness, and I got happiness in return. Now, some people might call that codependency, but I don't think so. I think that's the way God intended it. That's the way He created us. We are supposed to help each other. We're supposed to be a community spreading kindness and love and helping each other, build each other up. And it really does make a difference. Just as my grandfather's story, he kind of learned that the hard way. And really, truth be told, I was pretty much the same way when I was younger. I would get angry at things. Things wouldn't go according to plan. But like my grandfather, I've learned to temper that. I've learned to go with the flow. And when I do find myself getting a little frustrated, I'll do the old count to 10 trick. We were taught when we were kids. Count backwards from 10. And when you get to 1, all of that frustration and anger will be gone. But instead of counting backwards from 10 now, I'll stop and I'll say a little prayer. And just like that, I'm back to normal. Things, circumstances, little inconveniences, they're not worth the time and your energy wasting on getting upset and angry at those things. So next time you feel frustrated, angry with life, maybe do like my grandfather did. Reach out to somebody that might need a little help, a little uplifting. And you'll just find that your anger, your frustration, they'll vanish. Until next time, take care, be kind, and I appreciate you all.